Hello. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up camp. I'm out here hunting. We're going to do basically a mock setup of my reflex survival shelter that I designed. And what we're going to do is just show the versatility of how you can set it up. I've set it up between two trees, but you can also set it up in the wide open. Now, this could be a situation where I'm going to been hunting all day and I'm going to camp for the night and then tear down. It could be a life-saving survival shelter or a shelter where you have to spend the night because you're stranded. Many uses for the reflex survival shelter. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to find a couple poles that I can use for uprights to use for setting up my shelter. A chickadee coming to check me out. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I want to find a couple dead trees. This looked dead, but as I look at it, I look up top, it's actually a living cedar. So I've got to look around a little bit more and find those two poles, and then we're ready to set up. So there's one here and one here that is still solid, but they're dead. So I'm going to take the Maritimer out, delimb these, and bring them down. I could probably get both with this one tree. Okay, I'm going to need basically a little over waist height. Yeah, I'll take this second one as well. So I've got my two sticks for setting up the shelter. Now this is what I brought out for a survival or day pack. It has basically everything I need to spend a night out here, or a few nights even if I had to. So what we're going to dig out of here right now is my reflex shelter. And the reflex shelter right now is on sale. Close to a 25% sale right now. And I'll leave a link where you can check that out. But also I'll leave a link to a playlist, or you can check out my playlist on my channel of the things I have done with this. I used it as a hammock tarp. I've used it, camping. I've used it for even a demo survival shelter. How you doing? A couple gray jays came in. So the thing is, it's a very versatile shelter, and I designed this for hikers, for hunters, anybody that goes into the outdoors as a life-saving shelter, but also camping and so on. So I carry a backpack, and this one here is orange. Where I'm out, I have to have hunter's orange on, where I'm hunting. But, so I have my shelter in here, and this here, like I said, I can just wrap it around me, just many uses for this. But in my survival kits, I always carry things that are simple and effective. That's my whole strategy with survival, simple and effective. That shelter is proven to work. Now, it is a Tyvek material, like other products out there that is used for survival, bivvies and so on. Now, you do not want to put this in contact with flame unless basically in cold weather I put a long fire in front of this and it may get a couple pinholes. Not saying it will, but it might. But if I don't have that fire, I could die. So in that extreme case, yes, I'll use a fire with it. But for camping, for other uses, I'm not going to put a fire close to this. It's the same thing as a sil nylon tarp. You're not going to put a fire close to it or it's going to get pinholes. So just keep that in mind. This here, as a survival shelter, below zero and those cold temperatures where you need a fire, then you may get a spark or two. But it can save your life. Now what I brought in here, because like I said, I've got a pack and it weighs very little. This whole pack weighs 16 pounds. So what else I have in here this time, because I had the room, why not carry it? It makes it so much simpler. That is a self-inflating sleep pad. I do not have to take the time to make a bush bed. But this I have used directly, put a tarp on top of the snow, and then this, and slept right on it. And there's no conduction from the underneath getting me cold. So something like this, simple and effective, and very, very lightweight. Also, I carry in my backpack a sleeping bag. Now this has just increased my chances and my odds huge. Once again, carrying a backpack. It's compact, it's lightweight, but it's very effective. 0 degree sleeping bag with a bivy and a sleeping bag liner. So I can get down to about -5 with this setup. That means that anything above -5, I do not need a fire. I do not have to have the time to collect firewood. I do not have to, worry. I can keep moving along and just make my camp and go in the morning. I don't have to worry about fire at all if it's above -5. If it's below -5, I'll need a fire. But this being -5, it means I only have to heat my shelter to -5 and I'll still be comfortable. So it saves firewood. Also, if I had fallen and I cannot gather firewood and such, at least I am safe and comfortable. I can crawl in this and get myself up off the ground somehow, so I don't have the conduction, but I can crawl in this, and now, say I got a broken leg, I'm able to keep warm at least to -5 until help comes. So just with these 3 things, that together probably weighs maybe 5 pounds, has just increased my chances huge. So right this spot is an old road that I come across, and I see that nothing has driven across this in a long, long time. But it's an open area, so I can be spotted from the sky if somebody was looking for me. So, and I also have a safe place to put a long fire if I needed to. So it's a great location. Now we're going to take this out. I've got my cordages here. Now this does not come with cordages and stakes. It comes with just the tarp, because everybody has their own preference when it comes to stakes and cordages. So I've got stakes here, and I actually have some plastic sheathing in here as well, so I can make this into a super shelter if I want to. So I'm going to drop all that, and then we just got to open it up. The good thing about this is it's reflective. So I can use this as an emergency wraparound to reflect heat back on me. So if I had the broken leg, I could put this on the ground under me, get in my sleeping bag, and then wrap this all around, and that's going to keep me warmer because it's waterproof first off, windproof, and reflective. So I'm going to stick this loop through that loop and then put a toggle through to hold this stake down. I'm going to stake the back right now first, and then I can stake out the rest. I had to cut myself a baton as well, because I'm sure it's going to be difficult to get this in places. So there's the first one. I'll continue along the back. So what I've done is I've attached the pole, which is waist height, up here. And now I've got this other guideline here that I'm able to stretch out and then stake down. These are on shot cords. This is a shot cord as well, but I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to wrap it around and tie it, just for more security kind of thing. Because having double shot cords is going to be hard to keep it tight. So I'm just going to tie it around there for right now. And now I want to pull tight this way and from that other corner, and then I can stake it down on the other side. Like this, and then I can stake it down. See, that's why I got the baton. Going hard right there, and it's just fetched up on a rock, but it's solid. And I'm going to do the same thing, pulling out this way and that way to tighten this up, and then I can stick the stake down. Now it's just a matter of hooking my stake on, pulling this out, and tack her down. This allows for your shelter to stop any blowing wind and rain from getting you wet. Also, it gives you a place to put your gear. So there it is there. And as you see, you have plenty of room under this thing. You have a lot of room, and this setup here at this height, I've been under a tarp like this, in this type of setup, even without walls, and been in downpours and so on. With the walls, it's just that much more effective. I also have a 4x6 tarp here that I can lay on the ground or on a damp bed and such, and just use it for multi-purpose as well. But I'm going to put that directly on the ground to stop any moisture from coming up through, and also to help protect my sleep pad. Now, this is a totally flat surface. So if it does rain, it's basically just going to sink in. But usually I'll put it on at least a 2-inch bed of brush, just to get you up in case any kind of rain runs off the tarp and it's on a hill a little bit and tries to run in on you. Because a lot of times you don't get perfectly flat. So I also folded back that tarp, so if any blowing rain comes in, it doesn't land on the tarp and run in under. So I want to make sure that it's as small as possible. But when I put my sleeping bag on the mat and I move around, the sleeping bag will come off the mat sometimes. And if you don't have a tarp under it, it's laying on the ground. So just some things there. I don't take my sleeping bag out until I'm going to use it. Any dampness in the air and such can make my sleeping bag damp. So I want to keep it as dry as possible, so I leave it in the bag until I need it. I'm all set up. And a little bit of string, the reflex, a couple poles, and my gear here, the pad, and the sleeping bag. I'm set to -5 for about 5 pounds worth of gear. Pretty sweet in my opinion. So what I have done is I have tied to this tree, and now I'm going to tie to the middle of my back of my tarp. That's going to bring it up so I have more room in there, but it's going to stop it from, going up and down as much when the wind blows. Although I do have it on those shock cords, like I said, purposely, just so for an odd chance or whatever, I don't want to ever put too much tension on the tie-outs like any tent or tarp. Well, there you go. The reflex shelter in all its glory. This is what it was designed for. If I needed a long fire for heat, it's easily done, but I use that in an emergency. If I was going to use this in cold weather below -5, well, then I would be camping, most likely, and I'd have more of a lower rated sleeping bag. So it's all dependent on the sleeping bag, because, like I said, I'll use fire with this in an emergency only. But the option is there. This can save your life. I'm all set for sleeping later. Right now I'm just going to scout around a little bit, see if I can find a rabbit. So the sun has set, and it's going to be dark here soon. So I always carry lighting. I've got a handheld here which will reach out further than my headlamp if I have to see. And then I have my headlamp here. Now these do not have batteries in them. I put batteries in when I need them, like now. So I'm going to twist this off. I'm going to put a battery in. I've got extra batteries and such in here. And this way here I don't have to worry about them being turned on by mistake and draining my batteries. So I'll put this back on, but it's starting to get harder to see, so it won't be long before it's dark. There we go, we have light now. This here is my sleeping bag liner. In here is my sleeping bag itself, right there. Now I can take a jacket off and put in here, use that as a pillow. I can also use my pack, which I probably will. But we're going to get this out. So I can get tucked in, because it is starting to get rather chilly. Okay, this is the bottom. I want the zipper on this side. There we go. If I get cold, I can use this, the sleeping bag liner, but I'm going to put these both back in here and use this as a pillow. I've got my shotgun right here as well, and now I'm just gonna hang out for a bit before I get some sleep. So I'm all set. This here is just a demonstration on how just a few pieces of good gear can make, even a survival situation a comfortable situation. You want something that's simple and effective, especially when you are high stressed. I want to thank you for watching. Take care and check out the reflex shelter. Like I said, Christmas is coming, and in my opinion, I designed this to be the ultimate survival shelter. You can get a tent, but you'll freeze to death in a tent because you can't heat it with a fire. This, you put a long fire out front, and you can heat yourself from head to toe. Take care all, and stay safe.